man, the kind of music that you would listen on a Sunday and as you prepare to go to church. Now, the Soweto Theatre's music tutorial program will collaborate with conductors in a week-long music workshop. Now, the program will see aspirant classical instrumentalists learn the different musical skills through the application of music theory and techniques. Now, these workshops will culminate into a music performance concert to take place on the 2nd of July. Now, Conductor Kutlwano Masote joins us now to explain this in detail. Mr. Masote, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, Sampir.
Good to have you on the show this morning. Let's start with how this all came about.
So I was approached by the management of the Soweto Theatre, which is a fantastic facility.
Yes.
Can't believe it's already 10 years old.
Right.
And
Right.
when they said to me that the theatre is the only theatre in South Africa with its own in-house orchestra, I was quite shocked. I was taken aback. I didn't know that. So they asked if there was anything that we could do over Youth Month, just to enthuse the young learners and re-energize their music learning and their appetite for excellence. So that's how this week-long program was then instituted.
What is it, Veleja? I mean, what is it that you're going to do just to enthuse the young people, you know, to get them to enjoy the arts?
Yeah. So, I mean, they can play. You can hear that.
Yes.
And you couldn't possibly teach anyone to play like this in a week. But
I'm sure you could hear me humming whatever they play.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it does. It's exactly as you said. It's Sunday morning soul, you know. But the idea is really just to sharpen their skills.
Sure.
To just bring a fresh perspective, because they work very regularly with Sfiso, who is wonderful. He's their trainer, their maestro for the rest of the time. And mine is really just to come in and as I said, to re-energize, to say, guys, where do you think we could do it differently? And we're also lucky to have some other tutors that we've invited who are professionals from Soweto themselves, to just come and add a little bit of color and a little bit of knowledge to what Sfiso's already doing with these wonderful youngsters.
Yeah, and what kind of music theory and techniques that will be taught and imparted on the young people?
So as you could hear from our intro piece already, that classical instruments are very malleable, they're flexible. They can play jazz, they can play gospel music, they can play spiritual, they can play quelas, etc. So we'll be talking about all those approaches to all those sort of musical traditions and how they really are in themselves different disciplines, but that a complete musician should be able to tackle any kind of repertoire and be ready to perform whatever the gig demands.
And how much of new music, as it were, will be incorporated into this workshop?
So we're going to focus mostly on what they already know, because we have a short time to prepare for a concert on Sunday. But I'll be introducing some new things, including a very well-known South African dance piece, which will be, to my mind, the centerpiece of the concert coming up on Sunday.
What are some of the music theory and the tonal harmonies that will be transferred to the students?
That's quite a deep question, but if I can just answer that, it's again just to make them aware of the diversity of musical styles in South Africa, and that and I say this to all young people that I work with, that it's important to learn the classical background, classical repertoire, because in there is built in the technique of the violin, because these guys, Haydn, Telemann, Mozart, were playing these instruments when they wrote these pieces. So as the instruments developed and they have evolved even physically, those techniques became part of it, even how do you hold the bow, etc. So those are always core. We work on those, we master those, and then we can start to freestyle, as it were.
Let's talk about the relevance of classical music, especially in the townships and in particular amongst the youth. Do you think there is an appetite for classical music?
These are young people, and I think that's evidence for that. Yes, I think it's like books, it's like literature. It opens up your vista, learning classical music and all other music, of course, but classical music, I would say so more specifically because it's been developed over a period of time, and in there is the story of all of us. It's the story of Europe, the story of Africa, and I think it definitely has a following. Some of, not just in this country, you find also in the UK they have a movement called Chineke, which is an orchestra and a foundation that focuses on people from the African diaspora, composers and they invite also musicians from all over the world from that background to come and play. And they're playing at the British Proms in a couple of weeks, which is the biggest classical music festival in the world. So yes, it has appeal all across different cultures and people from all backgrounds.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the appeal is there. But in terms of accessibility then, how accessible is classical music, especially by the young people in the townships?
Yeah, well, that's still a work in progress because, and those are for historical reasons, access to just about everything, if you live in a township, it seems to be quite inaccessible. But I think in this country, there's a lot of work to be done. Government can do better. They're already doing a lot. Private sector would be welcome, more support. But I think young people want to learn. Young people are looking for different things. It was the same discussion that rugby was having maybe 2 decades ago. And when we won the World Cup a few years ago, we had a completely diverse team. So we can also get there.
Absolutely, we certainly can. Let's talk about how many young people have been a part of this project, and how was it like just putting this concert together?
So the concert itself is one of my passions, to just see their faces light up when they get something right and when they hear the applause at the end. But the program has about 35 learners that come. And of course, we are fortunate that it's school holidays this coming week. So we will really be able to get them in during the day from Monday to Saturday even. And then on Sunday, we'll culminate in this concert.
Okay, all right. And then just share more on the concert?
So the concert details are as follows. We are on at the Soweto Theatre and the Gibson Kente Theatre, which is the main theatre. It's at 3 p.m. on Sunday, the 2nd of July. You can access tickets, I think they're through web tickets. I'm sure they'll also be sold at the door. Or if you're in doubt, sowetotheatre.com is the website to visit.
All right. Kutlwano, great chatting to you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I love the good work that you guys are doing there.
Fabulous.
Great stuff. All right. Soweto Theatre presents a royal classic with Kutlwano Masote and the Soweto Theatre Youth Orchestra. Now, we just spoke to him about the show happening on the 2nd of July.